and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering Online extended playtest video, this time again with Jund, although if you notice the deck list now looks very, very different from the deck list in the last video. This is the, I guess, card for card, except for a couple of cards in the mana base. This is the same deck list that Lauren Lee played in a PTQ in Roanoke, Virginia. This time, this deck has 4 Demigod of Revenge, as you can see. This card is showing up in every single Jund deck that is making a top 8. It has 3 Fauna Shaman, a single Shriekmaw, 3 Kitchen Finks, 3 Anathemancer, and the main point of the deck list that sets this one apart, and this is a part that I absolutely love, is 4 Thoughtseize in the main deck. If you notice, the Blightning is in the sideboard, along with 2 Deathmark, 4 Volcanic Fallout, 3 Nature's Claim, 1 Terminate, and 2 Obstinate Baloth. The land base, like I said, is very, very similar to the one that Lauren Lee played. It has the only changes are a Verdant Catacombs and a Murmuring Bosk in place of 2 Twilight Mire. And that's mostly just as a test. One, because Twilight Mire are expensive, and I do not quite have enough for them at the moment, but also because I'm very curious to see how Murmuring Bosk plays out. So, the first couple of games I played, it was a little mediocre, but see how that goes. So, I will be playing in the tournament practice room, and I will be playing as a random opponent, but hopefully it'll be a good enough match that it'll be worth posting to YouTube. So, thank you for watching, and be right back. Okay, and welcome back to the game. I'll obviously play first. And I have a hand that is not very good, so I would like to mulligan. One point of note, this deck has 26 lands, whereas the other version of Jund that I was testing has just 24. And obviously this is a hand that I will keep. Here's a spot where if this were a Twilight Mire, it would be much, much better. But instead, I will have to settle for fetching a Swamp next turn. It's important to note that Murmuring Bosk, when it comes into play from a fetch land, I guess that means it comes into play tapped, which is a little obnoxious, but oh well. And Future Legion pass the turn. One thing that I'm going to be testing out is, with the videos, is games like this in the moment versus commenting on replays. I know I think either way has merit, but we'll see which way ends up being better. See, I would love to be able to go Verdant Catacombs, Forest, Kitchen Finks. However, I think it's more important to be able to cast Demigod of Revenge a turn quicker, because if I have Verdant Catacombs out of Forest, that is useless for Demigod. And playing a Kitchen Finks right into Mana Leak at this point just isn't the best option as far as I'm concerned. And that's actually kind of a interesting card to draw there. This does mean that I get a Demigod of Revenge next turn. So I will go ahead and attack with my Future Leech, pump it, and play a land. I have found that Future Leech is probably the most important card in this deck in most matchups. Yeah, I'll go ahead and play green, green, black, Kitchen Finks. I'll see if he answers it with Mana Leak. Yes, he does. And I'll play my Bosk and pass the turn. So Future Leech is probably the most important card in the deck in many matchups. Against control decks, it is a monster. Against combo decks, especially, it is a monster. Here, I think the play is to Thoughtseize. Well, I guess first the play is to attack with Future Leech. No? That was a mistake. I guess if I'm thought seizing it anyways, it doesn't really matter, but I would like to ride this threat as long as possible. We'll see what he chooses to do in response. I mean, if he doesn't have an answer for the Putrid Leech, as well as what will be Raging Ravines coming at him, he's in a really rough spot. But I suppose if I would have thought seized pre-combat, he would have had the option to Cryptic Command negate. Interesting. Okay. You could do that, I guess. And I will pass the turn. Next turn, or I guess this turn, I have lethal damage on the board, because I'm representing lethal damage. Kitchen Finks. Okay. So he's going to go to 10. I have a choice whether to Lightning Bolt it end of turn or not. I think that's a subpar play. I also could fetch with Verdant Catacombs, fetch out a Swamp, which I think is a good play. End of turn, do I want to Lightning Bolt him? I bring him down to 7, his Sphinx would bring back up to 9. No, I don't think I want to Lightning Bolt you. I would like to draw a red land. Okay, black, red, black. This is obnoxious, okay. Now it's important to note that this trigger happens when you cast it. So even if you play a or even if you cast Demigod and it gets mana leaked, for example, if I had a Demigod in my graveyard, I would still get one in play, which is quite awesome. Let's see what he chooses to do. Tech Edge is actually extremely annoying here. Jace Beleren, okay. Probably gonna use it targeting himself. Another Finks. Thankfully, I have a Maelstrom Pulse, although it's not the greatest, obviously. And for the win, I will just go ahead and cast my Demigod of Revenge. That's a pretty sick card to draw there. And sideboarding. Against him, obviously Blightnings are going to come in. Death Marks are a possibility. He could have Baneslayer Angel. In fact, let's put them in for now and see what happens. The Kitchen Finks can stay. Shriekmaw can leave. What else comes out, though? If it was 4-color control, those would stay in, but he didn't have that many non-basics. And I guess a Lightning Bolt could come out. I think a Death Mark can come out until I see what his sideboard plan actually is. Yeah, let's start with this. I have a pretty good game here against Leyline of Sanctity, and if I see he brings them in, I could bring in the Nature's Claims for game 3. But let's start with this. been liking the changes to the deck so far, although the Thoughtseize has been a little awkward. No interesting decision. I have lands, 2-man lands. I think this is the hand I keep. Hopefully he doesn't start with a leyline, although I guess against this hand it's not that big a deal. And I'll lead with Raging Ravine. I recently discovered the F6 button, and I have been making quite a lot of use of it. Okay, Lava Claw Reaches will hit play this turn. Obviously, I can play Black Cleave Cliffs here. The reason why I would consider it would be since drawing a green land here lets me. Okay, Kitchen Finks. Alright, this is obviously the play. Play Finks of my own, and pass the turn. Yeah, it's very unfortunate having to play the forest because it makes Demigod take an extra turn to get online, but being able to sneak in my own Finks under his counter magic is pretty awesome, I think. So I'll go ahead and attack with my Kitchen Finks. Which is turning into one of my favorite cards in the format. And let's see, post-combat. I'll play another one. See, I'm okay with walking these into mana leaks and overextending just a little bit against Day of Judgment because they are going to just come back. Okay. I suppose you're technically allowed to do that, but it seems a bit of a strange play. This card is just so good. It is amazing against control decks because it requires 2 answers except for Path to Exile. Yes, and there is the Baneslayer Angel that I was fearing. So Deathmark off the top would be fantastic right now. So would another Lightning Bolt would be awesome. A Maelstrom Pulse would be awesome. That is none of the above. However, I do have Demigods that are going to be able to race it if I am careful. Let's see, 19 life. What is the play here? I think I just passed the turn. This first strike is kind of killer. Yep, I just passed the turn here. That's unfortunate. No attacks. I do believe I saw this selling for like 9 tickets on Moto the other day, which I find ridiculous. This card is so good. It's just the standard and extended both have shifted to the point where it's nowhere near as powerful as it used to be. Alright, here I will block first. Hall of Omens, that is okay. This matchup is one of the worst for Jund that I've seen. This blue-white control deck is actually extremely powerful. It's the end of turn. Before I continue, don't need any more green sources for any reason, so Murmuring Bosk is an unnecessary card to get there. Alright, so I have some choices. I'm at 15 life. I'm gonna need to start pounding out these. And I have Raging Ravine as backup as well, although I mean, he's clearly got counter spells in his hand. So let's start with this. My Demigod of Revenge. Expecting him to counter it. No, okay. What if he has Path to Exile?